Hey guys, Justin Brock here, and today I'm sitting down with Michael Weller, who came all the way from Oklahoma to hang out with us, and we've been, trying to communicate effectively with things that we're doing, and hoping that helps Michael. But honestly, as he's been here, and this happens every time, we learn things from people that visit us as well. Everybody has something to share, and I wanted to sit down for a minute with him and go over kind of his story, because he was telling us some things yesterday about how he got into the insurance industry. So wanted to share that with you guys. And Michael, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure to be here.
Well, it's been awesome. You've been great. And tell me a little bit. You're from Oklahoma City, but you're actually from
Edmond, Oklahoma.
Edmond, Oklahoma.
Yep, just outside.
So we learned Oklahoma City is the third largest by landmass city in the country. Who knew? 60 miles from point to point, you said?
Easily. Yeah, good hour to get across town.
Wow, that's crazy. So I didn't even know any city was that wide. But so when you said third largest, I was thinking, I would have thought that was the largest. But so from Oklahoma City, you've been there how long?
Well, I've been in Oklahoma City now for 26 years.
Okay.
Yep.
And going back to how you got into the industry, which I found really interesting. You were working at Marriott.
That's right. Yeah, food and beverage.
Tell us a little bit about that. A girl really got you into insurance, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now that you say that, you're absolutely right. So, we moved to Oklahoma City for my wife to go to law school, and with her being in law school, it dawned on me pretty quickly that I couldn't get up and move around the country whenever a new resort opened.
Yeah. Which was your plan?
That was absolutely my plan. Food and beverage, be a general manager of a hotel somewhere on a beach, and be able to
different beach every other year.
Exactly.
That'd be the dream.
Exactly right.
I know. It's funny. I have a friend who was a chiropractor, and he was going to do the same thing, and then he got married and did other things, and now he's a hometown chiropractor from where he's from, but he was going to try to go open up a chiropractic retreat in Costa Rica.
Right.
So we always have these different, goals, and then, sometimes, family and other things can change that. So, but when that happened and you realized it wasn't much longer until another opportunity presented itself.
That's exactly right. You listened to me.
Yeah. That segue. So right. Tell us about that. You were at the hotel.
Absolutely. I was working a shift one night, and a regular customer of mine came in, and he said, "What are you doing with your life?" Yeah. And I kind of chuckled and said, "Well, that's funny. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing now." And he said, "Well, why don't you come be my office manager during the day? You can still work here at night." And at 22 years old, I could work 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, and not have any problems. And so I said, absolutely, jumped at the chance. Didn't even know what I was going to be managing at that point. And
he must have been a likable guy if you bought into him without really knowing much of the business.
So. Very, absolutely.
That's why it was come back to the principle: people buy people. You bought him as you didn't even know what you were going to be managing, but he's like, "Come work for me," and you're like, "I'm going to do that because you bought into him." That's just interesting. See, I always see these sales principles right in the middle of all these. So you buy into this idea, and he was in group health.
That's exactly right. Yep, group health insurance, life insurance. We worked with large, medium-sized employers. We probably had, I'm going to guess, maybe 4,000 employees under all of the groups that we were the servicing agent for.
Okay.
And so worked for him for a while as an office manager. And about 2 years in, he said, "Weller, it's time for you to get your license." And I come from, similar situation to you. My father was an insurance agent, worked with Prudential Financial, and I grew up in Peru.
Yeah.
And absolutely hated it. Hated insurance, didn't want anything in the world to do with it. And I talked to Bob and said, "Man, my dad's an insurance agent. I don't want to be an insurance agent. It's not for me." And he said, "Buddy, you got 60 days to get your license or you're fired." So I got my license very quickly.
and he turns out he wanted you to have your license because he was grooming
You're
a
exactly
succession
right.
plan. So
Yep.
everybody needs a succession plan, and it can't always be children. So
That's right. He had no kids.
my dad, running things now, and so I don't know if that was always his succession plan, but when it came to fruition, it worked out for him. But I had the same thought when I went into the Marine Corps. I was pursuing the life of adventure, the cool thing to do.
Right.
The noble and the cool and the appealing thing to a young adventurous spirit.
I don't know why 22-year-olds don't think that insurance is cool and adventurous.
Yeah, I didn't. I was like you I kept thinking, but my dad said something to me. I said, I just don't know if insurance is cool. He said, you know what's cool? A really high income and as many vacations a year as you want. And I was like, that
Sold.
does sound cool, because I wasn't getting that in the Marine Corps, either one of those. So that worked out. You ended up taking over that business.
That's right. About 2 years after I became a licensed agent, he had me running the office. He had me doing everything, trained me, mentored me, taught me the right things to do, the wrong things to do. And after about 2 years, he said, "Hey, I'm ready to go retire on a beach somewhere. Do you want to buy this joint?"
Yeah.
And I think I may have been 24 at that time.
Yeah.
It was a no-brainer. I mean, I knew that I was loving what I was doing.
Yeah.
I took all of the skills, the experiences, the customer service side of things from working for a corporation like Marriott, and applied them to the agency.
Yeah.
And just fell in love with helping people.
Right. So the segue there. So obviously you guys still do group health,
Right.
but you've doing a lot of Medicare now.
Absolutely. The group side I got away from. Stopped enjoying it, and never had I guess the best way to explain it was never had the fulfillment. Or
Was that because of the client interaction wasn't there? Like I was always told, with group, and we never really got into group, but that you'd sit down with it, you'd sell a group administrator on a group plan. You'd get them, and then when you went in to do all the voluntary benefit sits with each individual employee,
right.
It was almost like they were just like, yeah, whatever, trying to get out of there as quickly as possible, and you weren't really able to build a relationship with each individual client. Whereas in Medicare, you can build.
Exactly. So there were definitely relationships with the employees, the long-term employees. I'd see them every year at renewal, things like that. I took things a little bit differently than a lot of agents do. I actually would build relationships because I would go on site every week.
Okay.
And walk through, let's say it was a car dealership. Right. I would walk through the sales department. I'd walk through the service bays. And, oh, hey, you're the insurance guy, aren't you? I've got a problem. Yeah. It was problem after problem after problem after problem.
It wasn't opportunity, it was problem.
And so it just weighs on you after a time. And so just was not enjoying what I was doing at all. Tried to get out of the insurance industry as hard as I could. Yeah. Started another company. Closed my brick and mortar, pardon me. Yeah. Closed that. Started working from the house and tried to escape the insurance industry completely, but it wouldn't let go of me. Yeah. Dad had a heart-to-heart with me and said, "Boy, you're good at what you do. You're just doing the wrong type of insurance. You need to work with seniors." And so I gave it a fair shot. And went to a training with United Healthcare, as a matter of fact, and that my local agent manager was putting on. And honestly, she changed my life going through that training by sharing one of her stories with me. And I say I'm a Christian. I am a firm believer in God and that He leads us where we're supposed to be. And sitting in that seminar, she shared a story, and it was like God slapped me on the back of the head and said, "Hey, dummy, this is what you need to be doing."
Another one. facts tell, stories sell. He got sold again into the industry.
I did.
Back into the industry.
Absolutely.
And so you're enjoying the senior market then.
I've never had more fun in any job, any part of my insurance career than what I'm having today.
Much more fulfilling. I mean, we still deal with problems too, but I would say, 90% of my problems are 10% of my clients. Whereas we had hired an agent one time who had done Aflac before, and so she had a few groups, and we allowed her to keep servicing those clients.
Right.
And I remember the only calls she ever got were people trying to get disability claims filed and sick pay filed for being out a day. That group side, like all of her relationships were just with people that were trying to get money out of the insurance company all the time. And,
absolutely.
Medicare, I've had clients in the senior market call me to complain that their doctor overcharged the company.
Isn't that funny?
They're I don't think that it's right what they're doing to the insurance company, and then putting that on my record. They're more concerned with, honesty and, things being done the right way, which is completely different than, a lot of times what you get in just the general masses of humans that are out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, well, really cool, man. So right now, what are your biggest maybe hurdles or pain points that you're seeing that you're trying to get over?
So right now it's expansion. Mm-hmm. It's going from being a sole individual doing it all into the admin, hiring admin, going back to a physical location, not being the road warrior as some of the guys call us, going and sitting down in people's homes for every single appointment, and then bringing on new agents.
Yeah.
So expanding the reach.
They're trying to turn a good Mr. Rogers style, neighborhood agent approach into a business worthy of having other agents be a part of.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a process. Somebody that has, somebody like Marriott that's got money to invest, and they can go in and say, I'm going to set up a new Marriott hotel. We're going to throw millions of dollars at it.
Absolutely.
Can erect a business like that overnight, and they also have that Marriott name to go after off of. But when we're doing that as an insurance agency without just money to burn, you have to do it efficiently. And so that's what we see people having a lot of problems with too. It's getting started and getting money coming in from the initial sales side of it.
Sure.
But then once that happens, okay, what now?
Yeah.
I've talked to so many agents that are making, a couple $100,000 a year, $300,000 a year.
Right.
But they want to keep growing because growing's fun. But they're kind of plateauing what they can do on their own, by themselves. I think I try to tell people that everybody, what can I make on my own without hiring anybody? Shoot, it's really difficult to say. You could have, if you're talking about year over year, not anomaly years.
Right.
The highest I've seen people, make on their own without hiring anybody is about $450,000 a year.
Wow, that's a lot higher than what I would.
And they're working hard.
Suspect.
And they're and that's Medicare focused with a little bit of annuity production too. But
sounds like a lot of work.
It's a lot, and most of them, call me and they're like, "What do I do now?" And I'm like, "You're making $450,000 a year and you haven't hired anybody yet."
Right.
You hire people. You have to, and then it turns into the conversation of who do I hire? How do I hire? A lot of it is just going out and having a gut instinct about somebody and going for it, and then hoping that instinct is right, and if it's not, having to rectify that.
Having the courage to let them go and
the difficult
part ways. Sure.
I've talked to some people that are I won't name their names, but people that are well known that are going through the initial stages of that hurdle right now, where they just had to let go one of the first LOAs that they had hired. And we're talking about how to hire, the next one. We haven't let go that many people as a business. but the ones that we have were some of the earliest ones we took home because we learned what to look for and what do I need. And it's not all about like this super well polished. I remember one time it was Steven and another guy that I was looking at hiring, and the other guy was really clean cut. Had a bachelor's degree. Parents were well plugged in, and there was something that I didn't like about him was how much of a mama's boy he was. And Steven was Steven's not not clean cut, but Steven was gritty. Doesn't have a degree. He was out doing other sales jobs, but he had come to me on his own and asked me about insurance a couple months prior to that. I told him to get his license, and he went and did it on his own. And so the number one thing that I felt like I'm looking for, and I've heard this from other people too, is grit. That like I'm going to do it. I'm going to go out on a whim and I'm going to make something happen. Whereas the other guy, he would have looked real pretty in the office, but would he have been? What would he have added to us, or would I have had to like always been appeasing his needs, which is what I was afraid of. So I think when you're looking for people, the obvious isn't always there. Somebody obviously fits the clone mold. You look like an that's a funny story though. Like I just tell this. My dad, when he got into the insurance industry, right? We went to a church, First Baptist Church in Baldwin, Mississippi, about 20 miles from here, and that's where I was baptized. And there was a lady there who was a recruiter for American General, and she told him he looked like an insurance agent. He didn't know how to take that. But she said, "You look like an insurance agent. I want to talk to you about the opportunity." And he took it, and it ended up being paid off. He went to work for American General for a while, and that's where he got his start. And they gave him like the book of old crappy clients that had bought accident policies he was supposed to go out and flip, and that's how he got started. But and he did look like an insurance agent. But it's not something you want to be told. But if you find somebody that looks like an insurance agent, that doesn't necessarily mean they were my dad.
That they should be an insurance agent.
Yeah. So I look for grit. Somebody that
drive,
that is
focus.
Good. And so one of the things I used to do is I would say before I'd hire somebody, I'd say, "Okay, go get your license." If they never got it, I don't want you. If you're not willing to enroll in the course, right? Pay the couple $100. Honestly, we have a discount code, Gurus, on I can't even remember one of the sites. I think it knocks it down to like $60 or something for the course. Right. Take the prerequisite course, take the test is probably $100, and get that. If you're not willing to go through that process and figure that out, you're not going to make it.
You're absolutely right.
Because you need that. It's not easy, but once you get in a groove and you start getting referrals and you start doing it, it's a very rewarding experience. It's fun, and you're able to climb a ladder, and then you build a business, and it's rewarding to see other people succeed that you brought on. So anyway, that's my spiel on the growth part of it. Is just kind of use some gut instinct and look for a little bit of grit in people.
Great advice.
Yeah. And so now, what has worked well for you to date to get you from group's not what I want to do forever, heading into the senior market? You might as well be starting a whole new job because it's completely different.
It absolutely is.
So what gets you from A to now I'm ready to build a team, because you're building it the right way, in my opinion. You have gotten some things going yourself, and you know how to be a successful agent. There's plenty of people that say, "I got my license, now I'm going to build a team." Right. No, they want the team to make them money. Exactly. So they don't have to work. Right. You built something. Mm-hmm. So what got you from, hey, I started, now I'm ready to build a team, or I'm ready to build an apparatus that's bigger than myself? What's worked?
Honestly, this is going to sound really hinky, but just putting in the work. Yeah. I didn't know how to build this business. It didn't have a mentor to say, how do I build a senior market insurance agency? And it literally was listening to my FMO, the advice is get in front of enough people.
Yeah.
That's wonderful advice.
Yeah.
How the hell do I get in front of enough people? What does that actually mean?
Right.
And so I volunteered at a food pantry, and I was volunteering. You start talking to people. They say, "What do you do for a living?" Hey, I'm a senior advisor. I help people with their Medicare. I help with their retirement planning, things like that. And I'm in the back of our big box truck in the middle of July, 110 degrees outside, completely soaked with sweat. And the director of the food pantry comes in and says, "Michael, can you come in and help one of our clients? He needs help with his Medicare." And I look down at my shirt, and I mean, it's like somebody just dumped a bucket of water on me. And I went in, said, "Sorry for my appearance, but what can I do for you?" And went over into the corner, helped him with his Medicare, and 5 other people said, "You help people with their Medicare? Can you help me?"
Yeah.
And the director came to me and said, "Can you come here more often? I know you volunteer every Monday morning, but can you come up here and just help our clients?" And I said, "Absolutely." So started with that. Was led in that direction. And then, I mean, I did everything the wrong way, Justin. I didn't have a mentor. I worked and put so much effort into things that I shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that I shouldn't have. They were all wonderful experiences, but now I know what works better than what some things don't.
Give some examples of things that you worked on that, were good experiences, but
Right.
maybe were not time well spent in the beginning.
So at the very beginning, going in places that would just let me in the door.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say Gold's Gym during AEP. Nobody came and talked to me during, I was thinking, hey, everybody has this wonderful free little silver sneakers program. I can get in there and I can talk to them about their PDPs, and then I can transition that into flipping their supplement plans and things like that. No.
Nobody's interested in talking in there.
Nobody's interested.
Headphones in.
Exactly.
Head down.
Right. Things like that. Would do mailers on my own.
Right.
I would sit there for 10 hours trying to design the perfect mailer and just waste all of my time, mail it out, never get a response. So the things that you need to talk to a professional in their realm to do.
Yeah.
Hire somebody to do that stuff. That's
why we've hired a graphic designer, because the stuff that when we had a landing page built by a pretty intense marketing team that's building us out some course content right now. I look at it like, oh, that looks great. He looks at it and he's like, why does this guy look so angry? He's like, people are not like, what you're trying to sell here, like, anger is not the emotion and he's thinking of things that are like, I'm just kind of like,
Never
it looks
think of.
good. I don't really.
Absolutely.
But he thinks of it because that's his, forte. Hired Sid to work on video. I was doing all this video before, and like, it's just from a time standpoint. Like, I don't have time.
The time suck of all of that. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
But on the reverse side of that coin, some of the things that do work, going out and being genuine with people, just wanting to be able to help other people with these problems that they're having, going to food pantries. And that's one of the things that all of the carriers tell their newer agents. Go out and volunteer. Go out into a food pantry. Mm-hmm. If you go out anywhere, any single location, once or twice, nobody's ever going to come talk to you. After helping this gentleman at the food pantry, I went and set up my little table, and I was so excited. And it was 3 months before anybody came and talked to me. Yeah. I sat there every other week for 3 months. Nobody trusted me. They're used to being sold. They're used to being taken advantage of. They are bombarded with DSNP information constantly.
Right.
And one of the meanest, gruffest ladies in this food pantry came up to me and she goes, "All right, what the hell are you doing back here? I see you all the time."
Yeah.
And smoker's voice, raspy voice, loud, booming, get red-faced. I'm so embarrassed,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I said, "Well, ma'am, I'm here to help people with their Medicare questions." And she went, "What are you selling?" And I said, "Well, as you may know, Medicare doesn't cover everything. So I have plans that have no cost to them whatsoever, but they fill in those gaps." She was like, "These are those things you see on TV," whatever she said. But she gave me a chance.
Yeah.
And so I said, "Here's a little flyer." And she looked it over and she was like, "I can get dental?" She goes back to her seat and sits down and yells out like nobody's even, just very rambunctious woman. "I can get dental." And she pops back up and she comes back over here and she goes, "Are you serious? And there's no cost."
Yeah.
And so I sat down and explained it to her and she was like, "Why hasn't anybody ever told me about this?"
Probably because her buyer threshold is so high, you had to show up 17 times before she'd give you a chance.
That's
Anybody
exactly
knocking on the door,
right.
she's slamming the door in their face.
That's exactly right.
But like what you said, you not showing up once or twice, continuing to show up,
Precisely.
building that credibility that you weren't just a fly-by-night guy.
No, that recognition, that trust that you build.
Yeah.
And it really is about branding yourself. I've been working in Medicare for 3 years now.
Yeah.
That's all the time that I have put into the Medicare side. Now it's everything that I do.
Yeah.
The group side, if I get referred, that's what I do. If it's life insurance and it's a referral, then I take care of that client. But my focus is 100% on Medicare. And now people recognize me around town. I've shown up enough over the course of 3 years at different fairs, at different events, sponsoring different things.
Right.
My Facebook page, just putting things out there for that brand recognition. Now people see a flyer of mine, they see a mailer, they see a Facebook ad, they see me out somewhere, and that, I think, gives them permission to talk to me.
Yeah.
It's an air of legitimacy, I think. It's being a person of interest to the community.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of times when the person of interest talk comes up, people think, Russell Brunson has the book on Expert Secrets where you are selling the secret, selling what you do. And so a lot of people will take like Cody Askins or me and they'll be like, okay, that's the person of interest. But I try to tell people that my early success in the industry was becoming a person of interest as a Medicare and life and health contact to local potential beneficiaries and prospects.
Okay.
You can become a person of interest to whoever you're trying to target. It doesn't have to be professionally. I think that it gets diluted to that when Coach Burt talks about go out and write a book and become a person of interest. I have written a book, and the book is to Medicare beneficiaries. I hope agents read it. It's a great starting point for a young agent to read it and understand, like, this is how I should position a conversation.
I've got my copy.
But and that's what I wrote it, and if you've read it, it's written to the Medicare beneficiary.
Right.
So I just think people get lost on that. Like, you've become a person of interest to a community of people, and that's growing. And that's something that nobody can come in and market that away. Like, somebody can't come in and say, and go back to the Marriott example. If I have, Hotel Tupelo and it's downtown and it's, part of the ingrained culture of the place, or the Alluvian in Greenwood, or these are places that I think of, but you know what I'm talking about. Like a hotel that comes in and a big Marriott comes in.
Every town has their hotel.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Marriott's going to do well, but it's not going to take the allure away from that boutique small hotel either. They're different concepts. So somebody could come in and try to open up the H&R Block of insurance agencies down the road, but nobody's taken away the trust that they have in the guy, the real person, because people buy people, just like you bought a person, or he bought, you bought him and taken an opportunity you didn't even know. Both.
I had to have sold myself to him.
He bought you.
In my role.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So he noticed that you had something. I bet you a lot of it was grit, because he saw you working.
Sure.
You were showing up, you were kind, you were doing those things, but it's showing the desire to work, the desire to not get anything for free, and being happy and enthusiastic about what you're doing. Those are things that I look for when I look for people. Now, there are some people that have exhibited that it didn't translate to what we were doing here. Especially like waiters or waitresses. They're really good waiters and waitresses sometimes that weren't good at the other thing, but that's happened to me.
Right.
But I would say if you were, for what you're trying to do and what we do and the growth rate that we try to take, we
Right.
can be nitpicky, but don't be so nitpicky that you turn somebody down. Oh, I don't know about his beard or what. Who cares about
Exactly.
all that? Look at somebody and be like, who are they? Enthusiastic? Are they hardworking? Those are the two, like that grit and hard work and enthusiasm. Somebody that's happy about the work they're doing. Every time I go through a drive-through and somebody's obnoxious
Right.
or mean or just blunt, blah, I'm like, do you not understand? Every person that comes through here is an opportunity for you to impress. But it's to the point where so many of them are like that every now and then you'll get one who's really nice and pleasant, and they stand out
Yeah.
because they're surrounded by duds. I had one yesterday. I took my kids to breakfast before school, and the lady that was taking the money was, blah.
Right.
The lady that was handling his food was so nice and sweet. And I was like, if I'm looking to hire somebody, like that stands out to me. So,
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's twofold. Somebody that's looking to hire somebody, I would say look for grit, enthusiasm, hard work. Somebody that's looking to get hired,
Stand out.
be enthusiastic, gritty, and work hard. So,
Yes, sir.
That's so awesome. That's really what I wanted to relay. Is you're doing a great job going from A to Z in the senior market and scaling now, but you're doing it by incremental hard work.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want X. I want $200,000 a year, and they want credit for wanting that.
Tomorrow.
I want credit for wanting to be a successful entrepreneur.
Sure.
You get credit for doing the incremental work
I
that makes you that person.
agree.
So kudos to you for doing that, and thank you for taking the time to come to Tupelo, Mississippi,
I'm enjoying it.
to hang out with us, and we appreciate it, man.
It's my pleasure.
Well, thanks, guys. That's it for now, and we'll be back, hopefully with another good interview soon. Talk to you later.